Hello, my friends. I'm Tonia Tyler, and I would like to welcome you to my new web series, Coffee with Tea on Confident Strides. Today, our conversation hopefully will address some of the craziness that has been happening and taking place in our lives lately. I've called upon my expert friend, Ms. Teri Karjala, to help us navigate and manage this fear of uncertainty during our times of change. Let me tell you a little bit about Ms. Teri. Ms. Teri Karjala is a transformational life strategist and co-founder of Creative Counseling Center and Talking with Teri. She is the best-selling author of the Be the Magic of You, Tools of Transformation, Tools to Transform Your Life, with a foreword written by Jack Canfield. She's a premier success coach with eWomen Network, as well as a coach with Forbes. So today I'd like to welcome Ms. Teri Karjala and say thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited. I'm delighted to be here.
Well, thank you. I said, we're talking about a lot of this anxiety that we've been dealing with is coming from, this unknown that we're dealing with. And like you said, we're living in one of the greatest times of fear. And we have all somewhat been taken over by this fear. So
yeah,
what is your intake on how to deal with this?
Yeah, I heard a great quote the other day, and I'm kind of like taking it on as kind of like my mantra right now. And I'm not quoting this word for word, but it essentially says, when a storm comes in, all birds seek shelter in the storm. Only the eagle flies up and above and flies over the storm, right? And so I think about that as this has been unfolding, this pandemic that we were being faced with. And yes, I think there's a lot of fear that is happening, on a global stance, right? And there's also some eagles that are flying above. And so I'm not denying that there is a storm, right? But there's also some great opportunity within this. And so if we can play in a space where we can fly above that storm, I think it's going to serve us better, right? And some of you and some of your listeners have experienced other setbacks, whether it was the 9/11 or other depending on people's age, is like other setbacks in life. And so I find it just it's this interesting time where there is so much fear and doubt and worry, and the biggest thing is uncertainty, right? There's such an uncertainty with timelines changing, and there's just kind of this stagnant feeling, right? That's taking place, and I would agree with you. So and I'm happy to share with some tools and some strategies on how do we look at inner channeling that inner eagle and within ourselves to rise above this.
Right. So I know, like, a lot of people put different practices in place. So with that being said, and I know you mentioned tools and stuff like that. So how basically, like, if they wanted to start off a good regimen, what would be your first recommendation to start something like when they're feeling this fear coming on?
So a couple things just in general, and I want to say this generally right now, because a lot of times what we have found is that there's been either you have an essential business and it has been pivoted, right? Or you have a non-essential business and people have been laid off. So, whether you're an employee, you're a business owner, you're an entrepreneur, solopreneur, whatever that looks like for you in your life, it's really important to keep up your habits, like starting your day and ending your day, and really setting those intentions in place. So I personally, whether it's we're going through this crisis or not, I like to have a regimented day to start my day. And so I've created these planners called my daily intentions planners. And that has been such key to me to keeping consistency, because I talk a lot about energy. I've taken my 22 years of counseling experience. I've combined it with energy psychology, and then I've applied the principles of quantum physics. Well, quantum physics is they're universal laws that applies to all of us, and whether we believe in them or not, they're there. It's based in science. So I love to incorporate those strategies in my daily life every day, not just when I'm thinking about it, not when I'm just, like, oh yeah, there's this thing. So I get really dedicated to implementing that every day. So one of the things that I do at night, right before I go to bed, my evening routine looks something like this. I'll do my meditation. So the last 45 minutes, I'll have my meditation. I utilize going through my daily intentions planner, starting to plan out my day for the next day. Because what happens is in the brain, we will start, our brain will start to go and start processing the quote how. A lot of people get trapped in the how. So this is an opportunity for you don't have to worry about the how will show up for you. So get really clear, lay out my plan of action, and then I end my evening with gratitude. What are the things that I'm grateful for? That's how I end my night. Then the next morning, I have a routine that I start my day with. I do my exercise in the morning. I go into some energy work that I do personally, and then I sit and spend some time with my vision boards and my vision, like what am I looking to do, and then throughout the day, then I'm also sprinkling in tools and energy work to keep myself in a high vibration, because when we're in a place of love and gratitude is the highest vibration that we can possibly be in, and so when we're in that higher vibration, a lot more opportunities and possibilities can come to us versus, buying into, and I know it is really hard to step away from what's happening around us, and it feels like it's all encompassing. But I will say, get the news, what you feel like you need, and then step away from it, because there is so much fear that is being pumped out into our system, if you will, and it's really easy to kind of ride that spiral down with it. And what happens with fear is, we have chemicals releasing in our brain, which takes us into that fight, flight, or freeze, and then we go into survival mode versus thriving mode. And so it does not. It actually it pulls us down energetically. It pulls us down. It has, we know that has a detriment to our immune system, and so all of those things, all of those negative consequences to being in that place and space, honestly, we can't afford to be in that place, right?
Right.
And so, as much as we possibly can is to be aware of what's happening and get out of it as much as we possibly can. And there's other eagles out there. I know that they're sprinkled in throughout. And so, find those people that are finding the gifts, finding the positives in this, that are using this opportunity as an opportunity to grow their businesses, to expand, right?
Right.
I remember back in 2019 or 2008 and 9, when the economy was crashing, like I was just in the process of like skyrocketing my business, and it was brilliantly timed, right? So there are opportunities within all of this as well.
Right. And like I said, one of the opportunities, like I said, this webcast or web series never came about unless I was starting to walk. And I started thinking, I was like, these are times that look for the lesson. So how would you recommend somebody to, switch that mindset from the negative mindset to the positive mindset? How is there a way that you would say?
Yeah. So first, my first tool I would give people is, so what happens with negative thoughts when they come in, and whether that's we're picking up other people's negative thoughts or we're picking up the news and it's doom and gloom, right? First of all, we want to make sure are we responding or reacting to the situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a really big indication of like a lot of awareness around like how are we responding to this information. But then after that, it's okay. I like to cancel out any sort of negative, because what happens with negativity, whether it's positive, like attracts like. So negative thoughts attract negative thoughts, and we will find ourselves, in the spiral down experience. Positive thoughts attract positive thoughts. So one of the biggest ways in which we can stay up in this higher vibration status is one, canceling out anything that's not going to serve us in that state, okay? So when we have negative thoughts come in, what happens is it engages the reticular activation system. It's part of our brain, and and that part of the brain is actually finding the evidence to support whatever we tell it, okay?
Right.
So if we're telling it doom and gloom, it is gonna find everything doom and gloom, and it's gonna go down with us, right? If we tell them that there's some opportunities and possibilities and some exciting things that are happening, we're gonna find that too. And so I believe that if we get to choose, right, I'm always going to be the one who's choosing positive. Now, there'll be some people that might disagree with me, and that's okay. But I'm going to choose to live in that place and space. So it feels more expansive. It feels more giving and receiving kind of place. And so the tool goes like this. So for your listeners that are listening, write this down. When you have a negative thought that comes in, we want to cancel it out. And so there's a tool called, it says, interesting point of view, that I have this interesting point of view. I'm going to say that again. Interesting point of view, that I have this interesting point of view. And you want to write that down and say it 3 times per incident, whether that's a negative thought, a judgment of someone else, of the situation. Anytime we jump to conclusions or outcomes, is it cancels out that negative thought, okay? And then we have an opportunity, and I like to ask a more generative question, like, what else is possible? Because, so we cancel out the negative, and then we start to become more expansive, like, what else is possible, right? That's a great way to keep us in that place and space of creating more for us, right? And then I would say, let's start small, okay, and then build from there. I think it's harder for people to go from doom and gloom to, oh my goodness, the world's amazing, and da 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 da. I think we have to do it incremental spots. So when you think about this there's been some great research around the vibrations of our emotions, right? Abraham Hicks has done a lot of talk about this, but lower vibrations on that lower scale, the fear, the doubt, the worry, the depression, anxiety, all lives on the bottom of the scale. And then as we move up to kind of more neutral feelings, like maybe contentment, right? And then we move up to more positive emotions, happy, joy, and then we go up to the gratitude and love, right? Which is the highest. So incrementally, what we can do is like, okay, if we're in a place of anger, okay, it's a lower vibration, what would make us feel in moving from anger to maybe more frustrated, right? How do we move from frustrated to more annoyed? And how do we move, just keep moving up there, smaller increments to shifting the mood, shifting the thoughts, shifting the way we feel, and it will stay more permanent versus us trying to fake it till we make it, and and it's like, okay, because your brain's gonna hop in, your ego's gonna be like, Teri, that's not real, that's not happening, right? And so we want to do it in a way that the brain, we're bringing the brain along with us in this journey, right? So starting small and continuing to build and climb. But I highly recommend people finding your positive tribe. Your vibe attracts your tribe. And so finding those people that are in that more positive place, or maybe they're more positive for most of the time, right? And just start surrounding yourself by those people. Podcasts like yours, podcasts like other people's that are sending a positive message, that are keeping us lifted up, because it's very easy, to hop into it and slide down.
I have a question. Like, I mean, I met you at a success summit last year, and I know some people I hear, they always say take the emotion out of things. So how important is it to pay attention to your emotions?
My personal opinion is that emotion is our internal guidance system. And so there's nothing wrong with our emotions. Now, I think, and maybe they're saying it, maybe they're mentioning, take out the personal, like if it's not don't make it personal if it's a business thing. But for the emotional piece of it, that's our internal guidance. I mean, sometimes we think that emotions are bad and wrong, right? When all they're doing is just giving us information. right? And so if I feel angry, it's like, okay, how am I going to respond to this, in this way? Or, if I'm feeling fearful, like, what is that? So I'm a big believer in taking note of it, becoming aware of it. And I love to like welcome it in and say hello to it. I joke that I have this, so when I speak on main stages and things, I have this like physical experience of anxiety that kind of shoots through my system for a few minutes. And I call her Revi. So when Revi shows up, I give her a name, I welcome her, I say, hello, Revi. And I said, so we have these little conversations, right? So I recognize her, I acknowledge her for what she's doing. I know that she is here for me, right? But it's the wrong time, right? So we've agreed that she can have the first 2 minutes of any talk, and then after that, she's dismissed, right? So I'm a big believer in acknowledging it, because if we avoid it, what we resist persists, right? So just acknowledging it, giving it a name, saying hello to it, saying, I know I know fear is doing a really great job of trying to keep me safe. Because what happens with fear is that oftentimes it wants to make sure that we're being safe, and our brains love consistency and structure. They love feeling whole and complete and snugly in our little comfort zone. And so this is pushing everyone out of our comfort zone, which is creating a lot of fear and anxiety and these emotions that we might have been keeping under the wraps for a really long time, because we've like, I don't want to go out my comfort zone, right? So I talk a lot about, on Tuesday nights, I always do a Facebook Live here on Mountain Standard Time at 8 o'clock on Facebook. And I was talking about, like, this is like, I talk a lot about getting outside of our comfort zone and having an opportunity to really practice this right now. Like, we're going to be practicing the getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. And it's not going away tomorrow. It's not going away probably next week that we know of. So we get to really work on some of these muscles that have maybe been lagging. and so now we get to like work these muscles of like, okay, where, what can I control? What can I control? Letting go of what we cannot control, because there's a lot of things that we cannot control. Right? And so what can I control? What can I not control? Because I'm a big believer in like what we control is how we show up, how we respond, how we react, and what am I going to do today? Right? And so, and making the best out of it as we possibly can. Yeah, so it's about, getting, working that muscle of, allowing ourselves to be uncomfortable for a bit. And I promise you that I know that we are super resilient. And I know that this is temporary, right? This is not a permanent situation. There's going to be some more permanent advancements, if you will, or more permanent solutions that come out of this. Yes, because we're not going to go, things are not going to be exactly the same as much as we want to, because we're creatures of habit. Like, our bodies crave habit. If you think about going to like an event, I always look around and it's like a 2 or 3 day event, people will stay in the same seats, right? We want to create that comfort zone wherever possible so that we feel comfortable in the situation. And so right now that's being ripped away from us, which, is a gift, and also it's a curse.
Right.
And we get to choose.
I love, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, go for it.
I was adding on to, we're down to like a few more minutes, but I wanted to say, for those who are like, who love new things, is I do believe they said Einstein created the law of relativity during the plague. So this might be something, you just have to be open to the new things, because you never know what's going to come on from these experiences. So we're just down to like the last couple of 2 minutes or so. Where can we find some of your work, and maybe if anybody has any information they'd like to follow up with you, what's a great way to find you?
Yes, I would invite people to jump over to Talking with Teri. It's spelled TERI.com for all the information, all the ways that you can connect with us via social media, all the different platforms there. You can click and easily connect there. I also have a free consultation. So if you want to hop on a call and you want to just, see what's working, what's not working, and how I can support you in giving you a couple free tools, I am here to serve and would love to invite you to do that. That's also on the website. I mentioned earlier I have an event every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I do a Facebook Live, so you can always catch free things there. And I'm also keep posted. I'm going to be posting sometime today, possibly latest tomorrow, some information. I'm going to be doing a free Talking with Teri Tuesdays in the morning for clients, past clients, current clients, anyone who's interested in hearing more and just wanting to be like, you just want to plug in. I had a good friend one time and she said, Teri, I just love to call you like every 2 or 3 weeks because I get to plug into your energy and I get to plug into you. So this is the chance to plug in if you just need to feel like a little, if you need like a little like caffeine punch or something.
Yes, you do have a lot of caffeine punch. And I want to say a lot of the stuff that you brought to my attention when we talked, I'm trying to put into practice. So what's the one thing you would like your leave you with? Like what you have one thing that you would say, like for instance, to me, when I feel good, I say I'll take more of that. So is there anything that you would like to wrap up or say for people to keep in mind?
There's a lot of good that's happening. There is really a lot of good that's happening. And so I would invite people to take a deeper dive is what are the blessings that you have in your life right now? And let's focus on some of that, because if we have 7 billion people in fear, that's one thing. But if we have 7 billion people in gratitude, that's just where the juicy stuff lives, right? Like, I'm just going to invite people to stay in a place of gratitude of what it is in their lives. We all have different situations. We've been all impacted differently by COVID-19. But there is something to be grateful for. And so if we have to find one thing, I'm going to invite you to find one thing and let's build upon that, because we know that if we start there, we can automatically start to expand that and find more things that we can be grateful for. So, so let's end in gratitude. I am so so grateful, and thank you for inviting me to come and play today.
Thank you for coming in. I know you're busy, so I want to say we will post your links and anything else that people might be looking for. And I want to say thank you for Teri for taking her time out, her busy schedule, to come and chit chat with us and look for more conversations, and maybe we can have Miss Teri come back. So thank you again for your time.
Yes, thank you. Have a great week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.